The battle for New Sol began at 800 Standard Time, when Admiral HFY's fleet entered the system expecting easy victory. What they found instead was 20 human ships arranged in a formation that no galactic military textbook had ever described. Fleet Admiral Kang Tae-hyun stood on the bridge of his flagship, the UES Seoul. Around him, his officers worked with calm efficiency that came from years of training for this exact moment. Humanity had spent decades preparing for war against a technologically superior enemy, and every lesson had been learned. "Admiral," reported his tactical officer, "the alien fleet is approaching in standard patrol formation. They are broadcasting surrender demands. Any response from Earth Command?" Kang asked. "Yes, sir. Admiral Lee confirms that diplomacy has failed. We are authorized to use all necessary force to protect human space." Kang nodded grimly. He had hoped it would not come to this, but humanity had never started a war it was not prepared to finish. "Signal all ships. Execute Battle Plan Omega." Across human space, hidden fleet bases received the activation signal. What the aliens thought was humanity's entire military force was revealed to be just the tip of a very large iceberg. Stealth ships decloaked throughout the system. Hidden weapon platforms activated, and from the depths of space came ships that had been built in secret for this exact moment. The alien fleet suddenly found itself facing not 20 human ships, but over 300. Admiral HFY stared at his sensors in shock. Where did they come from? "How did we miss so many ships?" "Admiral," his sensor officer replied with panic in his voice. "Our instruments show massive energy signatures appearing throughout the system. It is like they were hiding somehow." Intelligence Officer Nam Ji-hye had been monitoring human communications and finally understood the terrifying truth. "Admiral, they have been planning this for decades. Every human ship we can detect is equipped with advanced stealth technology. They have been watching us the entire time." On the bridge of the Seoul, Admiral Kang opened a communication channel to the alien fleet. "Admiral HFY, this is Fleet Admiral Kang Tae-hyun of the Human Colonial Defense Force. You have entered human space with hostile intent and attacked our vessels. You have one chance to withdraw immediately." Admiral HFY's pride would not let him retreat. "Human Admiral, you are still outnumbered. We have 200 ships to your, however many you actually have. Surrender now and we will show mercy." "Admiral," Kang replied sadly, "you still do not understand. We are not the ones who should be worried." The human fleet attacked with coordination that stunned the galactic observers. While alien fleets moved like individual ships trying to work together, the human fleet moved like a single organism. Ships covered each other, shared targeting data instantly, and executed complex maneuvers that required split-second timing. Captain Oh Kyung-woo commanded the heavy cruiser Incheon, the same ship that had made first contact months earlier. But now, instead of carrying diplomats, it was armed with weapons designed by a species that had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of war. "All ships, focus fire on Grid 7 Alpha," he ordered. "Execute Wolfpack Pattern 3. The human ships moved like predators, striking fast and hard before disappearing back into the darkness. Alien ships that tried to pursue found themselves cut off and surrounded. Ships that tried to retreat discovered that human missiles could track them across vast distances. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the combined galactic fleet had lost 137 ships. The human fleet had lost 4. Commander Park Jin-woo was one of the few alien survivors. His ship had been disabled early in the battle, and he had watched helplessly as human vessels systematically destroyed his comrades. What frightened him most was not the human weapons, but the way they fought. "They coordinate like a hive mind," he reported to anyone who would listen. "But each ship commander makes independent decisions. They fight like nothing we have ever seen." The news of the defeat reached Nexus Prime within hours. The Galactic Council emergency session was chaos, with representatives shouting at each other in a dozen languages. Speaker Veltar tried to maintain order, but everyone knew that their world had changed forever. Dr. Velnoth stood up in the observer section and asked for permission to speak. "Honored Council, I tried to warn you. The ancient texts described exactly what we just witnessed. Humans are not like us. They are apex predators from a death world." "What do you mean?" Speaker Veltar asked. "Their planet Earth forced them to evolve survival skills that we cannot match. They hunt in packs, share information instantly, and never give up. Most importantly, they understand that sometimes violence is necessary for survival." Admiral HFY, who had escaped the battle with only minor injuries, slammed his fist on his chair. "They are savages. They showed no mercy, took no prisoners, and fought like wild animals." "No," Dr. Velnoth corrected. "They fought like soldiers. There is a difference." On Earth, President Han Min-jung addressed the Colonial Defense Council. "The aliens have proven they cannot be trusted to keep peace. They responded to our diplomatic overture with military force. What are our options?" Admiral Lee Soman presented the strategic analysis. "We have achieved complete tactical superiority in every engagement. The aliens' technology is advanced, but their military doctrine is hundreds of years out of date. They fight like police officers, not soldiers." "What about their numbers?" asked Defense Minister Kim Ye-jin. "Numbers mean nothing if they cannot coordinate effectively. Our simulations suggest that we could defeat their entire combined fleet with less than half of our active ships." Dr. Choi Min-ho, who had returned from the first contact mission, provided the psychological analysis. "The alien species have grown soft during their long peace. They cannot imagine total war because they have never experienced it. When they realize what they are facing, most will surrender rather than fight." President Han made the decision that would reshape the galaxy. "Admiral Lee, you are authorized to activate the full response protocol. Show them what humanity is capable of." The message went out across human space through quantum communication networks. Every human fleet commander, every colonial defense force, and every deep space monitoring station received the same order. Humanity was no longer hiding. Within days, human fleets appeared throughout galactic space. Ships that had been watching alien movements for decades suddenly revealed themselves. The galactic powers discovered that humanity had been present in their space all along, learning their weaknesses and preparing for this moment. The siege of Zenthari Prime began when Admiral Park Soo-young's Third Fleet appeared in orbit around the planet. The capital world of the Zenthari Empire, home to 8 billion aliens, was suddenly cut off from the rest of the galaxy. Zenthari High Command, Admiral Park broadcast, "This is Admiral Park Soo-young of the Human Third Fleet. Your government attacked our people without provocation. We demand your immediate surrender." The response came from Admiral Kethvar, the highest-ranking Zenthari military officer. "Human Admiral, you cannot seriously think you can conquer our homeworld." "Admiral," Park replied, "we are not here to conquer. We are here to end this war quickly. You have 24 hours to surrender, or we will demonstrate why that would be the wise choice." The galaxy watched and waited as humanity revealed its true strength. What the aliens had thought was a small group of barbarians was actually a sleeping giant that they had foolishly awakened. The age of galactic peace was over. The age of human dominance had begun. 3 months had passed since Dr. Velnoth's presentation to the Galactic Council. The ancient human texts had been filed away and forgotten by most council members. They had more important things to worry about, like the ongoing trade negotiations and the usual diplomatic problems that arose between different species. Commander Park Jinwoo of the Zenthari Border Patrol was having a quiet day. His ship, the ZDS Harmony, was patrolling the outer edge of Zenthari space. It was boring work, but someone had to watch for smugglers and illegal mining operations. In his 15 years of service, he had never encountered anything more dangerous than pirates with outdated weapons. That changed when his sensors officer called out an alarm. "Commander, I am detecting an unknown vessel dropping out of hyperspace," the officer said, his voice tight with worry. "It is big, sir. Much bigger than any ship in our database." Park moved to the sensor station and looked at the readings. The ship was indeed massive, at least twice the size of his patrol vessel. Its design was unlike anything he had ever seen. Where Zenthari ships were smooth and curved, this one was angular and sharp. It looked like it was built for war. "Any response to our identification requests?" Park asked. "Yes, sir. They are transmitting on standard diplomatic frequencies. The translation computers are working on their language now." Park had never encountered a completely unknown species before. The galaxy was well mapped, and all spacefaring civilizations were known to the Council. Who could this be? The translation system finished its work and a voice came through the ship's speakers. It was deep and calm, speaking words that sounded strange but were perfectly understandable. "Zenthari vessel, this is Captain Kim Daeho of the United Earthship Incheon. We request safe passage to the Galactic Council headquarters on Nexus Prime. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations." Park stared at his communications officer in shock. "Earth?" He had never heard of any planet called Earth, and the name the alien had given himself sounded completely foreign. United Earth ship? Park repeated. Computer, do we have any records of a species called humans or a planet called Earth? The ship's computer searched its databases quickly. No records found of species humans or planet Earth in current galactic databases. However, there are references in ancient archaeological files. Park remembered Dr. Velnoth's presentation, the humans from the old texts. They were real after all. Captain Kim, Park said carefully. I am Commander Park Jinwoo of the Zenthari Border Patrol. You say you wish to speak with the Galactic Council? That is correct, Commander. We have been observing galactic civilization for some time, and believe it is time to make formal contact. The words sent a chill down Park's spine. Observing for some time? How long had these humans been watching them without being detected? I will need to escort you to Council space, Park said. Please follow my ship and make no sudden movements. Understood, Commander. We will comply with your protocols. As the two ships traveled toward Nexus Prime, Park studied the human vessel carefully. His sensors could not penetrate its hull completely, but what they could see was disturbing. The ship had weapon systems built into its structure in ways that suggested they were meant to be used. Zenthari ships had defensive weapons, but this human ship looked like it was designed for actual combat. On board the Incheon, Captain Kim Dae-ho reviewed his mission briefings one more time. The plan was simple: make peaceful contact, assess galactic military capabilities, and prepare the way for humanity's integration into galactic society. What they learned would determine how the rest of humanity approached the galaxy. Dr. Choi Minho, the ship's xenobiologist, was busy studying the Zenthari patrol ship. Captain, their technology is advanced but predictable. Their ship design suggests they have not fought a real war in centuries. What about their weapons? Asked Commander Seoji-1. Defensive systems only. Designed to disable rather than destroy. They seem to have forgotten that sometimes destruction is necessary. Captain Kim nodded. This matched what human intelligence had predicted. The galactic species had grown soft during their long peace. They had forgotten the harsh realities that had shaped humanity. On Earth, Admiral Lee Soman watched the first contact through quantum communication links. The initial phase was going exactly as planned. The aliens were curious but not alarmed. They had no idea what humanity was truly capable of. Admiral, said her aide, the Colonial Defense Council is asking for an update. Tell them that Captain Kim is performing perfectly. The aliens suspect nothing about our true capabilities. Admiral Lee had spent her entire career preparing for this moment. Humanity had learned from studying galactic communications that the alien species were peaceful, but naive. They had no understanding of the type of warfare that had shaped human evolution. Back on the journey to Nexus Prime, Commander Park was growing more uncomfortable with each passing hour. The human ship followed his orders perfectly, but something about it bothered him. It moved with a precision that suggested excellent training and discipline. Military discipline. Commander, his sensors officer said, I am detecting some unusual readings from the human ship. What kind of readings? Their power systems are much more advanced than ours. And sir, I think they have more weapons than they are showing us. Park made a decision that would change everything. Open a private channel to Zenthari High Command. Priority 1. Within minutes, he was speaking directly to Admiral Kethvar, the highest-ranking military officer in Zenthari space. Admiral, I am escorting an unknown species to Nexus Prime. They call themselves humans, and I believe they may be more dangerous than they appear. Admiral Kethvar's scaled face showed concern. Dangerous how, Commander? Their ship is designed for war, Admiral. Real war, not the police actions we are used to. I recommend we alert the Council immediately. Understood, Commander. Continue your escort mission, but maintain maximum alert status. The message was sent to Nexus Prime ahead of the arriving ships. When Speaker Veltar received it, he immediately called an emergency session of the Council. Dr. Velnoth was summoned to provide her expertise on the ancient human texts. So they are real, Dr. Velnoth said when she heard the news. The humans from the archaeological sites actually exist. The question, said Speaker Veltar, is what they want, and whether they represent a threat to galactic peace. Admiral ZXHY was already mobilizing the Council's defensive forces. If they are as warlike as those old texts suggested, we need to be prepared. 2 days later, the human ship arrived at Nexus Prime. Captain Kim requested permission to dock and meet with the council. As his ship approached the station, every sensor in the system was focused on it, trying to understand what they were dealing with. The humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. What the council did not realize was that the Incheon was not alone. Hidden in the darkness beyond their sensor range, other human ships waited and watched. The real test was about to begin. The emergency session of the Galactic Council lasted through the night. Admiral HFY stood at the center of the chamber, his green scales reflecting the harsh emergency lighting. Around him, representatives from all 12 species argued about what to do with the human problem. "They threatened us," Admiral HFY said for the third time. "In our own council chamber, they made veiled threats about other alternatives. This cannot be allowed." Speaker Veltar looked tired. The peaceful galaxy he had helped maintain was suddenly facing its first real crisis in centuries. "What do you recommend, Admiral?" "We mobilize the combined galactic fleet," HFY replied. "We show these humans that the galaxy will not tolerate their warlike attitudes. A demonstration of our superior numbers will force them to accept our reasonable terms." Dr. Velnoth raised her hand to speak. "Speaker, with respect, I believe we are making a serious mistake. The ancient texts suggest that humans respond very badly to threats." "The ancient texts are just stories," Admiral HFY snapped. "These humans have 47 systems and 8 billion people. We control over 3,000 systems with a combined population of 2 trillion. They cannot seriously challenge us." Council Member Theiss spoke through her translation device. "Perhaps we should try diplomacy again." The humans seemed reasonable, just proud. "They are barbarians," said Representative Cloth of the Synthetic Collective. "Their insistence on maintaining weapons and military thinking proves they are not ready for civilized society." The debate continued for hours, but the outcome was inevitable. The council voted to mobilize their peacekeeping fleet and demand human compliance with galactic law. They would show humanity the overwhelming power of civilized society. 3 days later, Admiral HFY led a fleet of 200 ships toward human space. The fleet included vessels from all major galactic powers, a display of unity that had not been seen in generations. Each ship was equipped with the most advanced non-lethal weapons available, designed to disable rather than destroy. Remember, Admiral HFY broadcast to his fleet, "We are peacekeepers, not conquerors. Our goal is to demonstrate galactic resolve and force human compliance. Minimal force only." Meanwhile, in the new Sol system on the edge of human space, Fleet Admiral Kang Tae-hyun was preparing for what every human military planner had known would eventually come. The aliens had reacted exactly as predicted, with overwhelming force and complete confidence in their superiority. "Admiral," reported his intelligence officer, "long-range sensors detect 200 alien vessels approaching our border. They are broadcasting demands for our surrender and inspection of our military facilities." Admiral Kang looked at the tactical display. The alien fleet was impressive in size, but their formation and approach patterns showed they had no real combat experience. They moved like a parade, not like warriors expecting a fight. "Signal all fleet commanders," he ordered. "Execute defensive positions Alpha through Delta. Do not fire unless fired upon, but be ready for anything." The first confrontation occurred at the edge of the new Sol system, where Commander Seo Ji-won commanded the human cruiser Busan. Her ship was alone, facing 50 alien vessels that had broken off from the main fleet. "Human vessel," came the transmission from the alien flagship. "This is Admiral Yextar of the Vorthan Navy. You will stand down and allow our inspection teams aboard your ship immediately." Commander Seo looked at her bridge crew. They were all young, but they had trained for this moment their entire careers. "Alien fleet, this is Commander Seo Ji-won of the UES Busan. You are in human territory without permission. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Admiral Yextar was shocked by the human response. No one had spoken to a galactic fleet that way in over 1,000 years. "Human, you are outnumbered 50 to 1. Surrender now and avoid unnecessary conflict." "Admiral," Seo replied calmly, "you are the one who should be worried about unnecessary conflict." The alien admiral decided to demonstrate galactic power. "All ships target the human vessel with disabling fire. We will show them the futility of resistance." 50 alien ships opened fire simultaneously, their energy weapons designed to overload the human ship's systems and force a quick surrender. What they expected was an immediate human surrender. What they got was something no galactic species had seen in 2 millennia. The Busan's defensive systems activated with brutal efficiency. Point defense lasers shot down incoming missiles while energy shields deflected beam weapons. But more importantly, the Busan fired back. Human weapons were not designed to disable. They were designed to kill. The first alien ship to be hit by human plasma cannons simply ceased to exist. The second ship managed to send out a distress signal before its hull was torn apart by human railgun rounds. The third ship tried to retreat but was caught by human-guided missiles that tracked it across the system. In 17 minutes, the human cruiser had destroyed 12 alien ships and damaged 8 others. The remaining alien vessels retreated in panic, broadcasting emergency signals that were heard across the galaxy. Admiral Yextar's final message was simple. They are not like us. They fight to kill. The news reached Admiral HFY's main fleet within hours. The alien commander stared at the battle reports in disbelief. 12 ships destroyed, 8 damaged, and 1 human vessel that suffered only minor shield damage. It was impossible. How can 1 ship defeat 50? He asked his tactical officer. Admiral, their weapons are completely different from ours. They are designed for destruction, not capture, and their ship construction is much stronger than we expected. Intelligence Officer Nam Jihye had been monitoring human communications during the battle. What she discovered was even more frightening than the battle itself. Admiral, she reported, the human ship that fought our fleet was sending tactical data to other vessels. I am detecting at least 50 more human ships in that system alone. And sir, I think there are more ships coming. Admiral HFY made a decision that would doom the galactic fleet. We proceed as planned. They may have better weapons, but we have superior numbers. Order all ships to advance. On Earth, Admiral Lee Salmon watched the battle reports with grim satisfaction. The aliens had reacted exactly as human psychologists had predicted. They could not believe that their peaceful methods would fail, so they would escalate until reality forced them to understand. Signal Fleet Admiral Kang, she ordered. He is authorized to engage with full force. It is time to show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. The message reached Admiral Kang just as the main alien fleet entered the new Sol system. 200 alien ships faced what appeared to be only 20 human vessels. The aliens were confident in their victory. They had no idea that they were about to face the most devastating military defeat in galactic history. Commander Park Jin-woo, who had first escorted Captain Kim to Nexus Prime, watched from the bridge of his ship as the human fleet prepared for battle. Something about their formation troubled him. The humans were not trying to run or hide. They were positioning themselves for attack. Admiral HFY, he transmitted. Something is wrong here. The humans are not acting like a defeated enemy. Commander, the Admiral replied, you worry too much. Watch and learn how civilized people solve problems. Park watched, but what he learned was not what anyone expected. The humans were about to teach the galaxy a lesson about the difference between civilized people and people who had never forgotten how to survive. The Great Hall of Nexus Prime buzzed with quiet conversation. 12 different alien species sat in their assigned seats, each representing their worlds in the Galactic Council. The air smelled of different atmospheres mixing together through the environmental systems. Some aliens breathed oxygen like the Zenthari, while others needed different gases to survive. Speaker Veltar stood at the center of the hall. His tall, blue-skinned form commanded attention as he raised one of his forearms. The talking stopped immediately. For over 2,000 years, the Galactic Council had kept peace across known space. Today's meeting seemed like just another routine discussion. Council members, Veltar began, his voice echoing through the chamber. Today we hear from Dr. Kira Velnoth about her recent archaeological findings. Dr. Velnoth walked to the speaking platform. She was shorter than most Zenthari, with the pale blue skin that marked her as a scholar rather than a warrior. In her hands, she carried a data pad filled with months of research. Her discovery would change everything, though she did not know it yet. Honored Council, she said, I have found something strange on the Outer Rim worlds. Ancient ruins that speak of a lost species. The council members shifted in their seats. Lost species were not uncommon. The galaxy was old and many civilizations had risen and fallen before the current peace began. These ruins are different, Dr. Velnoth continued. They tell stories of creatures called humans from a star system named Sol. The texts describe them as bipedal beings, similar to us in some ways but very different in others. Admiral HFY of the Cromnian Defense Fleet laughed loudly. His green, scaled face showed amusement. More fairy tales from dead worlds, Doctor? We have real problems to discuss. Dr. Velnoth did not let his mockery stop her. These texts describe abilities that seem impossible. They speak of persistence hunting, where these humans would chase prey for days without stopping. They mention something called warfare that involved organized violence on a massive scale. The hall fell silent. Warfare was an ancient concept that the civilized galaxy had moved beyond centuries ago. Modern conflicts were solved through negotiation, economic pressure, or at worst, small police actions. The most disturbing part, Dr. Velnoth said, is how these texts describe human behavior. They work together in groups, sharing resources and protecting each other even at great personal cost. When threatened, they became extremely dangerous. The ruins suggest they came from a world with many predators and harsh environments. Council member Thys of the Aquatic Federation spoke up. Her translation device turned her watery speech into words the others could understand. Doctor, even if these humans existed, they are clearly extinct. Why waste our time with ghost stories? Because, Dr. Velnoth replied, the most recent texts are only 500 years old. That is recent in galactic terms. These humans might still exist somewhere. Admiral HFY stood up, his massive form towering over the other council members. Impossible. If such a warlike species existed, we would know about them. Our sensor networks cover all civilized space. No unknown species could hide from us. Speaker Veltar nodded in agreement. The Admiral is correct. Our technology is far superior to anything these ancient texts describe. Even if humans exist, they would be primitive compared to us. They could never challenge our established order. Dr. Velnoth looked frustrated. I am not saying they are a threat. I am saying we should investigate. The texts describe technologies we do not understand. They mention faster-than-light travel that works differently from ours. They speak of weapons that— Enough, Speaker Veltar interrupted. We appreciate your research, Doctor, but we have real issues to address. The trade dispute between the Forthan Empire and the Crystal Collective needs our attention. Dr. Velnoth gathered her datapad and returned to her seat. She had done her duty by reporting the discovery. If the Council chose to ignore it, that was their decision. But deep in her mind, she wondered what these humans were really like. As the Council moved on to discussing trade routes and resource allocation, they had no idea that their conversation was being watched. Far beyond their sensor range, in the cold space between stars, advanced monitoring stations recorded every word. These stations belonged to a species the Council thought was just legend. The humans had been watching the galaxy for decades. They knew about the Galactic Council, their territories, their strengths, and most importantly, their weaknesses. Humanity had learned long ago that knowledge was power, and they had been gathering knowledge for a very long time. Captain Kim Daeho stood on the bridge of the UES Incheon, reading the intelligence report from the monitoring station. The human ship floated in dark space, invisible to galactic sensors. Its crew had been watching the Council meeting through quantum communication links. They still think we are just stories, said Commander Park Jinwoo, reading over the captain's shoulder. This Dr. Velnoth seems to know more than the others. Captain Kim nodded. The Council is exactly what our intelligence predicted. They have grown comfortable in their peace. They cannot imagine that war still exists in the galaxy. What are your orders, Captain? Asked Lieutenant Lee Soman from the communications station. Kim looked out at the stars. Humanity had reached this moment after decades of careful planning. They had built their fleets in secret, established colonies beyond galactic detection, and prepared for the day when they would reveal themselves. Send a message to Earth Command, Kim said. Tell them the Council is as weak as we expected. Begin Phase 1 of the contact protocol. Back on Nexus Prime, the Council meeting continued without any idea that everything was about to change. They discussed their peaceful trade agreements and diplomatic solutions, secure in their belief that they were the most advanced species in the galaxy. None of them noticed the small fluctuations in their deep space sensors. None of them realized that something was moving toward their space, something larger and more dangerous than anything they had ever encountered. The age of galactic peace was about to end. The humans were coming, and they were nothing like the legends suggested. They were much, much worse. Dr. Velnoth remained in her seat, still thinking about the ancient texts. She had a feeling that her research was more important than the council realized. Somewhere in the back of her mind, she wondered if the humans were still out there, watching and waiting. She had no idea how right she was. The docking bay of Nexus Prime had never hosted a ship quite like the UES Incheon. Station workers and security personnel gathered to watch as the human vessel settled into its berth. The ship's dark hull reflected the station lights in strange ways, and everyone could see the weapon ports that were clearly built into its design. Captain Kim Dae-ho stepped off his ship wearing a simple blue uniform. He was tall for a human, with dark hair and calm eyes that seemed to take in everything around him. Behind him walked Dr. Yoon Hana, humanity's chief diplomat, and two other officers who served as his security detail. The aliens who watched them were surprised by how normal the humans looked. They had 2 arms, 2 legs, and walked upright like many other species. But there was something different about the way they moved. They walked with confidence and alertness, always watching their surroundings. Commander Park Jin-woo met them at the docking bay. "Captain Kim, welcome to Nexus Prime. The council is ready to meet with you." "Thank you, Commander," Kim replied. "We appreciate your hospitality." As they walked through the station corridors, Dr. Yoon Hana observed everything carefully. The station was impressive, with advanced technology and beautiful architecture. But she also noticed that the security measures were minimal. These aliens had clearly not worried about serious threats for a very long time. The council chamber was packed when the humans arrived. Representatives from all 12 species were present, along with military advisors and scientists. Dr. Velnoth sat in the observer section, eager to finally meet the species she had discovered in the ancient texts. Speaker Veltar stood as the humans entered. "Welcome to the Galactic Council. I am Speaker Veltar of the Zenthari Empire. We are honored to meet representatives of humanity." Captain Kim bowed slightly in the human manner of respect. "Thank you, Speaker Veltar. I am Captain Kim Dae-ho, representing the United Earth Alliance. With me is Dr. Yoon Hana, our diplomatic specialist." Dr. Yoon stepped forward and activated a small device that projected a holographic display. "Honored council members, we come to you in the spirit of cooperation and mutual understanding. Humanity has been aware of your galactic civilization for some time." This statement caused worried murmurs throughout the chamber. Admiral ZXHY leaned forward in his seat. "How long have you been watching us?" "Several decades," Dr. Yoon replied honestly. "We wanted to understand your culture and values before making contact. We believe in careful preparation." The council members exchanged glances. The idea that an unknown species had been observing them without their knowledge was disturbing. Their sensor networks were supposed to detect any spacefaring civilization. "Tell us about your species," Speaker Veltar said. "What is your technology level? How many worlds do you control?" Dr. Yoon smiled. "Humanity achieved faster-than-light travel 200 years ago. We currently inhabit 47 star systems with a total population of approximately 8 billion. Our technology has developed rapidly due to the challenges of our homeworld." "Challenges?" asked Council Member Theiss. "Earth is what you might call a difficult world," Dr. Yoon explained. "It has extreme weather, dangerous predators, and limited resources. These conditions forced humanity to develop survival skills and cooperative strategies." Dr. Velnoth spoke up from her seat. "The ancient text mentions something called warfare. Can you explain this concept?" The chamber fell silent. This was the question everyone wanted answered but was afraid to ask. Captain Kim answered carefully. "Warfare is organized conflict between groups. In humanity's past, competition for resources sometimes led to violence. We have learned to resolve most conflicts peacefully, but we remember the lessons those struggles taught us." Admiral ZXHY stood up. "Are you saying your species still practices violence?" "We practice self-defense," Kim replied calmly. "We hope for peace, but we prepare for the possibility that others might not share our peaceful intentions." The council members began talking quietly among themselves. This was exactly what they had feared. A species that still thought in terms of conflict and violence. Speaker Veltar raised his hand for silence. Humanity's request to join our galactic community is noted. However, given your unique background, we must proceed carefully. We offer you junior membership status with certain restrictions. Dr. Yoon's expression did not change, but those who knew her could see her tension. What kind of restrictions, Speaker? Your expansion would be limited to systems we approve. Your military development would be subject to council oversight, and you would be required to adopt our conflict resolution protocols, which forbid the use of violence. The human delegation was quiet for a long moment. Captain Kim and Dr. Yoon had expected this response, but hearing it still stung. After decades of preparation, the aliens wanted to treat humanity like children. We appreciate your offer, Dr. Yoon said finally. But humanity cannot accept junior status. We seek partnership as equals, not subordination. We have much to offer the galactic community, such as, Admiral HFY asked skeptically. Experience, Captain Kim said simply. Humanity has faced challenges that your species have forgotten exist. When real threats arise, you will need allies who remember how to fight. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Several council members shouted that this was exactly the kind of thinking that had caused problems in the ancient past. Violence was not the answer to anything. Speaker Veltar called for order. Captain Kim, your species' attitudes concern us greatly. The galaxy has been at peace for 2,000 years. We do not need allies who think in terms of fighting. Dr. Yoon activated her communicator and spoke quietly into it. Light years away, her message was received by Admiral Lee Soman on Earth. The diplomatic approach had failed, just as human planners had predicted it might. I understand your position, Dr. Yoon said to the council, but I must ask you to reconsider. Humanity has much to offer, and we prefer cooperation to other alternatives. The threat was subtle but clear. Admiral HFY caught it immediately. Are you threatening us? I am stating facts, Dr. Yoon replied. Humanity will not accept inferior status. We had hoped that wisdom would prevail, but if necessary, we will pursue other options. Intelligence Officer Nam Ji-hye of the Cromnian Fleet was monitoring all human communications from her ship in orbit. What she was detecting terrified her. The human ship was in constant contact with other vessels that her sensors could not detect. The humans were not alone. Admiral HFY, she transmitted privately. I am detecting encrypted communications between the human ship and unknown sources. I believe they have hidden fleet assets in our space. Admiral HFY received the message and stood up quickly. This meeting is over. Captain Kim, you and your delegation will return to your ship immediately. You have 24 hours to leave council space. Captain Kim nodded politely. As you wish, Admiral. But remember, we came here hoping for friendship. What happens next is your choice. As the humans left the chamber, Dr. Velnoth felt a cold fear in her stomach. The ancient texts had been right about everything so far. They had also mentioned that humans were extremely dangerous when threatened. The galaxy was about to learn what that meant. On Earth, Admiral Lee Soman received Dr. Yoon's final report and activated the Terra Defense Protocol. Across human space, hidden fleets began moving toward their assigned positions. The diplomatic option had failed. Now it was time for the aliens to meet the real humanity.